Skye Henderson is a Spokane native who spent his career bridging finance, community, and innovation across the inland Northwest. From collegiate soccer at Whitworth University to managing financial operations for the Seattle Sounders, Skye's journey reflects a unique blend of grit, strategy, and local pride. In this episode of the Launchpad Innovators Podcast, Skye shares how his path led him from Big Four accounting to managing venture investments at Cowles Ventures, supporting startups at every stage of growth while helping build Spokane's innovation ecosystem from the ground up. We talk about what founders need to succeed, how investment strategies are evolving, and why community-driven innovation is critical to the region's future. This is the Launchpad Innovators Podcast. I'm Bill Kalivas, and this is my conversation with Skye Henderson. Skye, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I know you want to be on for the last probably couple months, but we finally made it happen.
Yeah. You're a hard guy to pin down for scheduling. You're very busy, which I appreciate, and I've seen personally. You're a super busy guy.
Same. It's right back at you. You're doing great things.
Oh, I don't know, man.
A lot of things.
This semi-retirement thing really took hold a little too much.
That's when you got busier.
Yeah, my wife's like, can you go find some projects? Well, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it. And getting to know you over the last, year, 2 years has been really cool. I have a lot of respect for what you're doing, and I was really looking forward to talking to you so other people could meet you and just kind of learn more about, your background and where you're from and kind of what your story is, your journey, and what you're up to now. So,
yeah, appreciate that.
Skye Henderson. So tell us a little bit about where are you from originally, and what was your journey like bringing you back to Spokane?
Yeah, so I am born and raised here in Spokane, Washington, just 11 blocks up from right here, so 11th and Cedar. If you're from around here, the South Hills, just start at 1 downtown or 3rd, the food street downtown, and just count up. Mm-hmm. So and then pick a tree, right? There's a walnut, ash, maple. I'm on Cedar, so 11th and Cedar. So then that's Lewis and Clark grad, and then I ended up going to Whitworth University. So I stayed local all the way through college, and then out of college, I went to college. I chose Whitworth because I like playing soccer. I actually was gonna go to Gonzaga as of I think my senior year, and Whitworth had a better soccer team at the time, so I chose that for that only reason. And then I decided I need to figure out what I was going to do for a job. And accounting, I was good at math, and my mom became a CPA, so I said, okay, maybe I'll get into this, and I might be good at it. I don't really know. But mainly I just want to play soccer throughout college, and then we'll see what happens. So, actually, what's funny is this is the 20th anniversary of the best soccer team in Whitworth history, 2005.
Wow. Just so happens you were on the team.
We were on the team. Mm-hmm. I was on the team, so we're going to do a big reunion here in October. Mm-hmm. But so out of college, I ended up switching my major to accounting, I think in between the sophomore and junior year. Decided I didn't want to go to school for 5 years, so I crammed 5 years into 4. And then was lucky enough to interview for KPMG, Seattle, one of the big 4. Got a job there. And then was lucky enough also to get 2 large engagements. So Costco Wholesale was my main client over there, which is one of their largest clients in Seattle. And then Weyerhaeuser was like one of their other. So I had 2 of their biggest clients, and it was like an August and a December year end. So it was crazy. I mean, coming out of college, I had no clue what, professional work life was, and I hadn't got my CPA yet because I didn't stay an extra year. Usually people stay a 5th year and then get their CPA during that. So I went right into busy season and then studying for the CPA. And I was brand new married and going to a big city. And
Where'd you meet your wife at?
In 3rd grade.
You guys grew up together.
Yeah,
That's
church.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, we met at youth group in 3rd grade over, out by Long Lake. Mm-hmm. There's a church called Westgate.
Okay.
On the way out there. And so I spent a lot of time over, jumping off the 7 Mile Bridge and into Long Lake and stuff like that. We loved hanging out there. But anyway, so we met, and then she ended up, her dad worked for Costco, and they moved over to Kirkland and then worked over. They were over there for a while, and then she came back to Eastern. We stayed in touch, and then started dating in college, and got married. That was the same summer, so we graduated in 2008, got married, went over right into busy season, and so that's all I knew.
What did your folks do for a living?
Oh, so my mom went back to school while I was in high school and became a CPA. So she was stay home until then, and so that was kind of my understanding of maybe I could be good at accounting. My dad was in asphalt testing.
Wow.
Yeah, petroleum sciences. So he worked for his father-in-law just out there off Trent by Esmeralda. There's that little asphalt testing facility. So now he does inspection work, kind of adjacent. But nothing in the kind of blue collar space on my dad's side. My mom was in the accounting. So that that was.
So you saw what mom was doing and thought, I'd be interested in that.
Maybe I could be good at it. Yeah, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily like it. So that came later, where I was trying to figure out how do I pair something I'm good at with a passion. So as I get on with my story, we'll get there. So yeah,
we got time.
We got time. Okay, perfect. Yeah. I mean, what's that phrase, the Japanese phrase of ikigai, like finding what you're good at, what there's a need, what you can get paid for, and there's a fourth of that kind of pillar. So that's what I still, I guess, to this day, I'm trying to figure out, like what's the perfect situation of things that I'm good at, I can get paid for, and there's a need. So accounting I was good at, but man, the hours were crazy. I'd get there at 8 or 9 and work till probably midnight most nights, and that was the start of our married life and professional career. I just had a post the other day about 11 o'clock. We had what we call Journey Hour. You turn on Journey and just start jamming out.
Nice. That's a good choice.
Pick up the mood and try to get it.
Do you end it with "Don't Stop Believing"?
Yes, exactly. Just believe that these hours will mean something. But maybe like a first learning there was the community that you built in those long hours. It's kind of like a fraternity at that point. I have a lot of strong connections to KPMG. We're going to go over to Seattle Tech Week next week, and I'm going to try to meet up with some of the former KPMG
I saw your
alum.
post on that. I actually was talking to somebody about it yesterday, Paul, and I was like, I kind of want to go still.
Let's go.
We'll talk about that
Come
later.
on over.
But that's really cool.
But then even 20 years later, or just close to that, I can reach out to the KPMG Alumni Network, and they're willing to bring me in and host some of us. And then identifying where some of these KPMG alum are in the community. It's been great to have that network, but that was like my first real taste of that. And then someone that I work with now is like, third of the CFO at Costco on the engagement that we were on.
Interesting.
Previously. So that was fun. It was fun, but also really hard.
This is around 2008, you said?
This was, right. I mean, it kind of skipped over the fact that when I graduated into the great financial crisis. Yeah. So I was lucky that I didn't go into finance. Accounting, at least, they still had jobs. But finance, you kind of split. You decided late in your, maybe like junior year, what your major was going to be. Do you want to be a finance focus or just accounting and business management? So I went accounting and business management, but those went finance. Some, might have got jobs at WAMU, and that was over immediately once you got over there.
Yeah.
And then like half of advisory was
crazy
fired
time.
that first year.
What a crazy time.
It was crazy. Yeah, that first, so you all come in as your first year, and then they find out real quick if you have what it takes to be in public accounting. And then you kind of either get a raise or you get fired, right? And that year, your raise was like Jelly of the Month Club, basically.
Jelly of the Month Club.
Yeah, I love it. It was like a gift card to the employee shop, where I think I got a Tiger Woods driver, and that was like a couple $100.
That's awesome.
And that was like, and then also you still have a job.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember the letter I think that year addressed to me of like, congrats, was addressed to Miss Skye Henderson. I'm like, oh yeah, I feel really cared for.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was the first experience working in a big firm. But the managers I liked, they're really good to me. And then with my wife, every year we kind of did a little look back to say, okay, hey, is this something we want to keep doing, these like 80-hour weeks? Is it going to, we saw the future like, okay, it should pay off, and eventually you can have connections to better jobs, or you can stay here and become manager, partner, et cetera. And then each year I'd look at my manager or my partner, I'm like, do I want their life or not? Yeah. Based on, because they're still putting in the same amount of hours that I'm putting in, and it looks worse. They look like they hate their life. I don't know if I want to, but I wanted to put in the work. I'm like, I knew work ethic, and like there's no substitute for hard work. That'd be one of my beliefs is, kind of going back to when I was here locally, I played for a club called the Spokane Shadow. They used to play out at Joe Albee. So before the days when that was torn down, there was a semi-pro team, and they had this quote in the locker room that said, "Hard work beats talent unless talent works."
Wow.
So like we fancied ourselves as maybe the less talented group of all of the
kind of blue collar.
Yes, blue collar. We really embodied that Spokane mentality, and it's like, okay, let's just go out there and work hard, work our butts off. And if they have more talented group, but they don't work together, we're going to beat them.
Yeah.
So, I truly believe that is like just, there's no substitute for the hard work. Like even, a couple days ago, it's up till midnight or 1, just putting in the work. I'm like, no one else is going to do this. I got to get it done. Right. And I think that bleeds into some of my thought process as I'm looking into founders is, I really like second time and beyond founders because they've done it and they're willing to come back for more. Yeah, and you think, right. Okay, they're just crazy enough, and they do understand what it takes to get through the fire, and they want to do it again. Where the first time founders, they're still kind of learning that out. Yeah,
there's no replacing experience when it turns into grit and turns into that the grind, and you're still willing to do it. But let's go back to when you were in Seattle working for KPMG, right? Or was it Kirkland? Where were you guys based out of?
So they were based in downtown in the Laird Norton building, but you kind of worked at your clients. Gotcha. So I was in Issaquah at Costco Wholesale, and then and then Weyerhaeuser was down in Federal Way, so I had that engagement as well, and then American Seafoods was up in Seattle. So there's a couple of different clients that I was at, but mainly I was in Issaquah.
How long were you at KPMG?
Altogether? So 2.5 years, but 3 busy seasons. So they age you pretty quick, right? Each busy season, it feels like 5 years. Yeah. And then I'd do some.
Were you one of those guys in a conference room with a pile of paper and boxes and going through reports and numbers and just constantly looking at numbers? And I remember going by all those offices all the time throughout my career, like, oh my God, those guys are just buried in paperwork.
I think that's why, what told me I wasn't meant for this long term is I just wanted to go talk to the people more than sit there. And we were transitioning to e-audit, so the firm was forward looking and helped us. I think that my last year we actually had electronic audits and wouldn't accept paperwork files, but a lot of the smaller engagements were still that, like a box of paper.
That's how people stored their documents, right?
Yeah.
Before all this.
Yeah, it was right during that time frame where we're transitioning to digital. But actually, when I came back here to Cowles, my first few years, all of our paperwork was in binders.
You were at KPMG for almost 3 years, it sounded like.
Yeah.
Then kind of what was next for you?
Okay, so then each year I was looking at what's next. I decided. I told my boss, you know what? The only way I think I can make this work for another busy season is if I come in at 6 a.m. and I leave at 6. So I had to settle for a 12-hour day. I was like, I think I can make this work. Only 12 hours. That's all I can give you. And so that was interesting. It was before this time frame where like the next few crops of first years would come in and like mandate overtime pay and things like that. There was no overtime pay. You're just working as long as they told you to work. But I was a high performer, so they were like, okay, you know what, that works. And then I got through the busy season, was just as productive as or more than anyone else, because later in the day you're kind of losing it, and that's why we had to turn on music to keep ourselves going. Yeah. So then what happened is everyone else wanted to do the same thing that I did, is like do this 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and have some kind of confined work hours where you just had structure and got stuff done. I got through that, ended up running one of the other audits, the Costco Canada Liquors audit, which is a funny one where they have like these extra liquor stores in Canada that have to be separate from the main store by like 12 inches. So that's a separate
Really?
entity. Yeah.
Is that a government
Rule.
thing?
Yeah. So then you have these separate audits. So I ran that. And then I was talking with my wife on whether we wanted to do one more year. And then we decided, you know what, it's still, we were living south at, in Auburn, Sumner, then Bonnie Lake. So I think we were in Sumner at the time. Mm-hmm. And we decided, you know what, we need to move on and find something closer to home where I'm not commuting. I was doing about 3 hours of total commute a day, just taking probably 3 or 4 different highways. So for those that know the Seattle area, I was taking 410, 167 to 405. Just 3 freeways you don't want to be on. A lot of Boeing employees will take that. They'll live south, and then they'll start them on like 30-minute increments or hour increments, and so there's never a break. They're just they're new shifts.
Steady stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then God forbid it rains, which is every other day.
Yeah.
There's traffic for days. So we decided, hey, maybe it's time to move on and find something closer. So I just told my bosses, hey, could you help me? Help the transition, and then we ended up finding client DaVita kidney dialysis company down in Tacoma. Yeah, they're one of the 2 biggest in the world. So they're a public company, one of our clients, like I said, and I worked in the revenue evaluation department, which was interesting. I didn't know you could just adjust and value revenue and say, oh, we have $1 billion in revenue, but I think it's actually this number. And that was the department I was in.
Interesting.
Yeah, you worked with the payers on what you thought they'd actually pay. The VA, Medicaid, Medicare, California, Illinois, Washington.
There's probably an LLM for that now.
Yeah, probably. But on the way out, there was a connection to the Seahawks, and I was underqualified for it, but I thought, you know what, why not just take a shot? I think it was like finance manager for the Seahawks. I had no experience in that industry, but I went for it anyway. Didn't get the job, but they liked me.
Yeah.
So a year later, they had an opening for the Seattle Sounders, which were managed by the Seahawks at the time. And they called me up and said, hey, I know you weren't right for that role, but I think you'd be perfect for this one. And
what year was this, roughly?
2012.
Okay.
Yes, I should know, because this is part of the story.
Sure.
That my daughter was born on the first day I started at the Seahawks.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I had worked at DaVita for a year, and I talked to my wife, and we thought, you know what, you got to give it a shot. Soccer is in your blood, and now you compare accounting with soccer. Where else could you do this? This is the major league club, the biggest club at the time in the MLS, and you could go do accounting work for them. Why not?
Yeah.
And they were based on Lake Washington, the VMAC right there. So I decided to do it, but my wife was pregnant with our second child, and
now, was she working?
Not at the time, no. She was for the first few years. She actually was an AD at her former high school.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but by this time she had stopped because then James was probably nearing 2.
Yeah.
My oldest. And the day of my first day, going up to the MEMAC, she's like, you know what? I might be going into labor.
Wow.
I thought, shoot, I don't have health care. So if I get in there and I sign the paperwork, it was like day 1, you got full coverage. So I went in, and by 11 o'clock, she called me again. She's like, you know what? I'm going into labor. You're going to have to meet me. My mom's going to take me to the hospital. So I only was at work for like 3 hours, signed all my benefits paperwork, left, and then my daughter was born like 2 hours later. And then I think it was probably like a Wednesday, so then I just took the Thursday, Friday off, and then went back to work on that Monday.
Way to get your deductible out of the way.
Yeah, right. Exactly, right away. But no paternity leave or anything like that. We just went right back to work on Monday. Yeah. But that was a fun, interesting start to that career. Oh, and the person that recruited me there, that was my connection from KPMG. For whatever reason, day 1, he was also fired.
Wow.
So then I come back on Monday, and I don't have anyone that I know that was like my in.
Sure.
And I had to just kind of,
So you're working for the Seahawks. Are you at the Seahawks facility?
So I'm at the Seahawks facility. I'm the only Sounders employee on the finance side.
Oh, gotcha.
So then my boss, my manager, director, CFO, they're all Seahawks employees.
Gotcha.
So then that was helpful. And what happened later is they had a management agreement that came due 2 years after I started. And so what I saw was, hey, if we ever spin out, I'm the only one on the Sounders side. I could take this and, become the director, CFO for the Sounders.
Sure.
I mean, that'd be my dream job.
Yeah.
And so back to just the more story of it is that was the year that Russell Wilson was drafted. So it was an amazing, fun time. So like their facility, the glass windows on the second floor overlooked the training grounds. And so we got to watch like the quarterback battle between Russell Wilson and Matt Flynn that year, because we had just
and he was supposed to be the guy.
Traded for Matt Flynn, right? He had like that one good game. Paid him a lot of money, and then he never started. And then Russell, that was fun to watch that.
The rest is history, kind of.
The rest is history, exactly. Then we got to watch him grow for the next few years.
But you got to throw the ball. I mean, you got to hand the ball off to Marshawn. You don't throw a slant pass. I mean, come on.
So I was gone by then. I was on the Sounders.
You're not taking any blame for that.
No, I got to go to the first one though.
Yeah.
We all so it was a fun time, crazy, awesome experience. We got to go to a lot of the games on both the Sounders and the Seahawks side, and then they were kind enough to take all of the staff to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And then we got to go to like the after party with Macklemore. It was just crazy fun time.
Also from Seattle, right?
Also from Seattle, yes.
Yeah.
Then we come back and the management agreement was up. So we just had this amazing high. We're on this high. I think that was February of 2014, maybe. I'd have to go back and check.
I think you're close. Yeah.
And then we had to do all these meetings, kind of backdoor meetings, to prepare to split off, because then I was working for the Seahawks, but I needed the owner of the Sounders wanted to look towards moving away. So then I had to meet with like Todd Leiweke. He's like the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He used to be the CEO for the Sounders, so he was someone that like a consultant that helped us strategize moving out.
I was in the tech industry at the time, covering Seattle and Portland. So I would fly over a lot, and one of my partners owned part of the Sounders. Rick Cantu was his name, and but I think he owned them later. But I remember going to some of the games. It was unbelievable, the following. It was rabid. Like you see European soccer games or football, right? And that's a religion. That's maybe more followers than even our American football. It's crazy. But I went to the Sounders game and thought, oh, they're capturing much of that same following, and that it was incredible.
The key was the supporter clubs. So they did a really good job of trying to embody that culture over in the European side, is having supporter groups. So they had like Eastside FC, which would be, or the North End supporters, or the South Side supporters, and creating little sub communities that had their own kind of culture themselves. That then had pride in their club / the professional club.
Did that align with how? And if you go to Seattle or you live in Seattle, there's kind of these cool neighborhoods.
It was very similar to that.
Ballard. There's
so you could, like, as a fan, just kind of choose which supporter group fit your culture, your mentality most, and then also you'd have to buy seats within that section. But that was critical, because then that helped you have your consistent renewal base. We have at least, say, half of our season tickets sold out to our supporter groups, and you don't have to worry about that.
Was there an intentional effort to create that kind of sub-community following within for the Sounders?
They definitely started that with the exact mentality, and then they also tried to borrow this culture that like Barcelona has, about having some form of public, not ownership, but voting rights. So for the first, I think it was 6 years, they allowed the members to vote in the GM. So the general manager was the owner at the time, but they had an annual vote. So luckily we were successful. I think the first 7 years they made the playoffs, and then eventually won, I think maybe the 7th or 8th year. So they were successful, but they still had a vote every single year to see
Is it a paid membership?
Season ticket holders were the members.
Makes sense.
So you had a vote. You had some say in how the organization was run, which is amazing. Like, so like the Green Bay Packers would be the example in the NFL or local locally here in the U.S., and then Barcelona would be the other examples. They wanted to do that. And Drew Carey.
It's kind of how democracy works, isn't it?
Yep, exactly.
Just
Democratizing the sport.
Whoever pays for it gets to say.
And Drew Carey was very instrumental in wanting that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So he was a part owner. Adrian Hanauer is still the majority owner. And then the movie producer for The Huntsman, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was another of the main owners. And then Paul Allen.
Paul Allen, yeah.
And the Seahawks.
That's amazing. That is so cool, because I remember I would go over, I worked in technology from 1990 until I retired, obviously a few months ago, but I would go to Seattle, Bellevue, Kirkland for my training at different points, and then also to cover accounts, things like that. I got to see Bellevue change from where it was in, I think my training, I started in 1990. So that's how often I was going over to Seattle and Kirkland, and then I'd go to Portland. But Bellevue, to me, is just the most amazing place to watch it grow. And Kirkland, obviously, is amazing. But just that growth. But I remember going to some of those soccer games thinking, if you could figure out a way to build a community like that over here, a following, maybe some sub-communities, because there's really cool neighborhoods over here in Spokane that are popping up, like South Perry, Garland, Hilliard, Kendall Yards, right? There is kind of a cool thing happening here.
It's all unique. That's right. Yeah, as the growth continues here, you really get the ability to have pride not in just Spokane or in the inland Northwest, but about your area. So like I'm in Liberty Lake, and that's got the lake vibe, I guess. You got the valley, but like these sub communities. It's
really, a really interesting. I had never heard that story before, but I knew there was this following, and it was obvious how strong it was.
Yeah. So that was, it was unprecedented in the MLS of what they did during that time frame for success, but also season tickets. And they were able to have like a 95+% renewal rate on season tickets.
Wow, what a learning experience for you.
Yeah, and then we'd add in like these extra games during the summer, like where you'd bring in Tottenham or Manchester United, and that was really fun to experience what that meant to provide extra value to your fan base and have some, just continue to feed them more of what they want and listen to them, and like, okay, was that something that the feedback loop to customers, because you have your core customers, you don't want them to, go start looking for something else. We had an interesting time though. The Sonics had just left.
Oh, right.
So there's this gap of fandom of where they wanted to put their disposable income, I suppose, and the Mariners were not great either.
And let's face it, if you're into sports and you're working the grind every week, sports is one of those things that you hold dearly, especially when you got a football team that wins a Super Bowl.
Yep.
You've got a soccer team that's just killing it and doing great and creating these communities. And the Sonics I grew up watching the Sonics, and I remember when they won a world championship. That was devastating when they left. It was tough.
Yeah.
So you're right. The timing was really good.
It was a perfect timing. So that gets into like kind of luck versus execution. Is it all the stars aligned for the Sounders to be successful? Execution was dead on, but also you needed more than just passionate soccer fan base. You just needed the ancillary people that wanted to support Seattle, support sports, and just be part of the community.
It's a sports town.
Yeah. And then right there, you saw this change in Seattle too. Once they won the Super Bowl, being kind of this underdog to being proud of like, no, we finally did it. Because the one club that had a world championship isn't here anymore. So
That's
then
right.
we're this kind of stepson
you
city.
did have the WNBA come into town and the Seattle Storm. I love watching what women's basketball has become. And soccer still, to me, I think people get excited on the global stage when United States is playing. Everybody gets excited. Women's or men's teams. Pride obviously is a matter of, we can all point to, we're all prideful when we see the United States playing. We want them to win. But soccer never really took off like people had hoped, right? Because you played soccer growing up.
Yeah.
I remember I didn't play soccer. I played a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of friends that played soccer, and I always thought soccer would take hold more in this country. Did you always feel like it might, or did you kind of know it wasn't quite the same culture?
Yeah, it's tough because even I grew up watching the EPL, so the English Premier League, and I would watch that more often than I would the MLS until I worked for a Major League Soccer team. I think what you'll find, I think you're right. That's true. I thought, I don't know if I thought it would take off more, but I thought it'd have more kind of lasting standing power. I think that's why you need to learn from like the Sounders is make it more than just about the game, is about the community. And that's what the Chiefs has done here locally. Yeah. So great.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the Indians too. I mean,
the Indians, most often you have no clue what their record is, maybe even who's on the team. But, you know, this is a great place to bring my family, to have a fun time and enjoy the sports and the community.
And the infrastructure, I love what they've done with the podium and the football stadium, or the I guess the soccer and football, they use it in for both. But yeah, there's some cool stuff happening here. But okay, so we'll go back to your time in Seattle. You're working for the Seahawks organization. They split off.
We split off.
And then what happened after you guys split off?
Yeah, so that's perfect. That kind of was my first taste of a startup. So we were part of the Seahawks organization one Friday. Saturday, everything was cut off. We had to have our own accounting system, our own HR, our own Ticketmaster database.
And everyone's looking at you.
Benefits, yeah. So, and then I'm the head of finance, so I became the director of finance for the Sounders. And then we went from 30 employees that split off to about 100 in a year because you had to fill all the gaps that you didn't realize were missing that the Seahawks were doing for you. And we're based just a block north of the stadium in Pioneer Square. That was crazy. It was fun, exciting, stressful, all of it, all at once. I had to learn how to manage an entire department. So I had to hire a bunch of people within that first year and make sure all the department heads were managing their budgets and, you know, that we all came together as a team. And then I worked directly with Adrian Hanner, the owner. And it was exciting. It was a very exciting time.
What time frame was that?
So that would have been 2014 to 15. So I was wrong before. It was 2012 when I started, and then it was 2014 when. Yeah, that was 2014 when we split off, and then I ran it all the way to 2015.
I remember when they won their first championship.
Yeah, that would have been the season of 23, Super Bowl 24.
Yeah.
And then they lost the 2015.
Yeah, it's painful.
Yeah, but luckily I wasn't there at that time.
Yeah.
Made the Super Bowl ring.
Did you get to know some of the Seahawks folks, like management, players, or anything like that?
Management. Yeah. Still to this day, I'll reach out to the kind of second to the CFO. He's got a few kids now, and we'll hang out probably in the next few months when I head over there. But yeah, it's been great to keep in touch. But what happened was a lot of them ended up going over to the Kraken and then beyond.
The Kraken. And that kind of filled a void too. The Sonics had kind of left open. So
they stole a lot of talent from the Sounders and the Seahawks after that. But we try to stay in touch for sure. And then same, so we have the community of like KPMG and then the community of like the general sports, because then there's even people that you met at other teams and organizations across the country.
So let's fast forward to get to some stuff kind of going on today. Yeah. So you were at the Sounders. How long were you there? And then what was your journey back to Spokane?
Yeah. So it was quick. So once we spun out to the Sounders, it was kind of the same thing between my wife and I as we had, then we're expecting our third child. And I was still in this time frame where I'm commuting a total of 3 hours a day. Yeah. And I just can't get that time back. I can't get home in time to do much with the kids. And the Sounders had to go fast and grow and kind of make their own name because they were able to leverage the Seahawks brand at the time. Yeah. But now we got to be our own. We got to, almost compete against the Seahawks for disposable income and brand and all these things. And they needed me to lead that charge. So then we looked at each other and said, hey, can we do another year? Are we good with this or not? And so I had a hard conversation one day with the owner. I'm like, you know what? I think this is as far as I can take it. And I've got to kind of abdicate the throne of, the future CFO of the Sounders and hand it off to CFO of one of his other businesses. And I came over. So her family had her mom had just moved over here back to Spokane. And so then we thought, let's head back and try to find a nice stable company to work for until we figure out the next thing. So we drove over, looked at 5 houses, interviewed for 3 jobs, and I picked one of each, and we came back. So that was from March to May. Like it just overnight, we're like, you know what, March, we had just started the season. I had done all the budgeting, and so it wasn't on cruise control, but things were set up and ready to go. And then we were ready, and we just came over. And so we ended up moving to the Perry District first.
Gotcha.
And that was good. But anyway, the 3 jobs I interviewed for was like Cancer Care Northwest, the Parks and Rec, some director of finance job, and then Cowles family, who owns, a lot of downtown, the KHQ, IEP, a lot of timberlands. They were just starting to get into investing in startups. So and that's kind of foreshadowing where I'm at today, but their first investment that we call part of the Cowles Ventures fund was in 2008 to 2010, but it was kind of sporadic. It wasn't really professionalized into a fund yet. So then they started investing more 12 to 15, and that's when I came over. It was in 2015 when they said, hey, we need to expand our treasury department and help partially manage this growing startup fund and just help do some of the other administrative things because they only had 2 people in their treasurer's department. So
Gotcha.
It was perfect
So
timing
was it
for me.
just Cowles that you were managing their funds at the time?
Yeah, so I came over as the assistant corporate controller. So we managed like the financial reporting for like the consolidation of all of the companies, of all the divisions. So they had an insurance division as well. They had all the real estate companies that roll up into one real estate division. And then the fund was housed under the treasurer's office at the time. And that was what I was interested in. So kind of like back to when I went to accept the job for the Sounders, and I thought, hey, in a couple of years I can pull this out. I thought the same thing with the startup fund. Like, you know what? I'm going to go be patient, kind of humble myself. I know I felt like I was doing great things over there, but I'm young. I need to learn. I need somebody above me that has seen more, done more. And so we had Steve Rector and then Matt Nielsen, who were great leaders and mentors to help me just learn about a lot of just basic corporate finance. Sure. And then fast forward closer to a couple years ago, we were able to take that fund and spin it out into its own entity, Cowles Ventures. Okay. And so that's what I wanted to do, and was thankful to get the opportunity to, hey, do you want to stay and just go to the normal corporate finance CFO route, or do you want to kind of take a risk and come out here into the venture side and professionalize this fund and take it to the next level? So that's what I chose to do maybe 4 years ago. Okay. Yeah.
And so your official role now, what's your
VP of Venture Investments.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do I do? What do you do?
What do you do?
Yeah.
I was just sharing that with Office Space with Blake and Spencer, my intern, the other day. It's like, so what would you say you do?
Yeah. Exactly.
So what I do is what I have to help ground us on a daily basis is something what I call the flywheel of value add. Is we have companies in various stages, and actually we could use this as a little visual.
Can we show this, Brennan?
Yeah.
Cool.
So you have what you'd call, say, 3 stages of the investment cycle: the investing stage, the growth stage, and then the harvest stage. So you plant the seeds, you watch them grow, and then you need to harvest and have that return come back. So we have companies at varying stages, and we have to find out how we can add value to the investment throughout either one of those stages. We might immediately become a board member and help them with their basic corporate structure and forecasting and budgeting, and then a huge amount of it is networking between finding talent, finding advisors, or finding new money that's not just us. And then eventually you get into the M&A stage of, okay, as you're growing, are you building something that's either sustainable on your own, or is somebody wants to eventually acquire? Because when you do accept outside capital, no matter how long their investment time horizon is, eventually they want to make some kind of return. And so we have to be looking into the future of how are we going to identify the right strategic partner or acquisition for this company. So that's a lot of what we do on a daily basis. And right now, in the time frame we're in, where liquidity is hard to come by, there's a lot of efforts focused on that, on who's the right partner for each company and which industry and stage. So when we come in on a daily basis, we'll pick and choose some of those that are the highest priority and dive in deep.
So talk a little bit about what's your view of investment now? I bet it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Since, I mean, obviously the landscape of investing has changed. Talk a little bit about what it was like when you first started and how it's evolved, and kind of what's your view now of risk.
Yeah.
What's your view of, what your kind of companies you're really looking at? And for those entrepreneurs and founders and innovators that are watching, kind of tell us a little bit about what key attributes you're looking for when you're looking at investments.
Yeah, I'll do a little bit of the history of, again, when I came into the fund, what I want to do immediately is allocate or separate our investments into vintages. And the purpose is to understand what's going on during those different market cycles. Like I said, I got into public accounting in the great financial crisis. That was a completely different environment than 5 years later when people wanted to start being more risk on. So immediately in 2008, it's risk off. You're just trying to find anything safe place to park cash if you're an allocator, if you have capital to allocate, or if you're just trying to reduce losses on investments, especially if you're allocated to real estate. But then at the tail end of that was a huge time for investment in like the Googles and companies that are going to spin out and probably get great valuations at that time too. But it creates some, scarcity creates this innovation window where people are forced to innovate and do more on less. And that's where I feel like we're at today. Because then you had this huge cycle where interest rates come down. So that means you're less likely to park cash in like a long-term CD or a mutual fund. It's
high
not
interest savings account.
It's not. Yeah. There's low interest savings accounts, right? There is none, and so you have
low interest savings account.
well, at that time, right now you can. So then the capital allocators that have to take idle cash and decide where to put it, they'll start maybe with like public stocks and real estate and more investment in whatever your operating companies are. And then you get to private markets and they're higher risk, but higher reward. And then at that time, there's more capital available to go that direction. Then COVID happens and everyone pulls back real quick for a year and then realizes, okay, now a bunch of money comes in from the government. There is plenty of cash to allocate. And then that goes back out into the markets and to everywhere, but including the private markets, which is the startup environment. Okay, now we come to the second foot dropping on this whole zero interest rate environment, like of cash is free. And now interest rates go up, cash comes back, and we're in a new environment where cash is not easy to get. And we're seeing that now, and I'd say it's healthy. It's kind of back to the norm from years ago, but whatever entrepreneurs were just being created or like first-time entrepreneurs in the last 5 years started in an environment that just doesn't exist anymore and probably won't for a long time, if ever. It's just going to be harder to get capital, which is fine. Like you don't want to have easy cash because then it doesn't create good habits, I'd say, for founders. If they just think it's always going to be there, then you run your company to zero and just expect to hand
There
out,
is a mentality I see where if at that time there's so much capital available, almost like, the burn was not as much of a concern if you're being really prudent and you're really being conservative, and you're trying to grind and bootstrap mentality versus we can just raise capital if we need it.
I think of it like raising a child. As like if you're going to enable them with consistent things that they don't have to work for or don't have to work hard enough for, you're not going to create all those skills that are crucial for success in the future. And so that's what we're like, again, first time founders are trying to train them well so that when they hit the bumps in the road, that they're able to get through those, and then that they're prepared for if there are future fundraisers that are hard, that they can get through those. But right now, today's environment is just different than it's ever been.
If when you talk to especially first-time founders, I know we talked a little bit earlier how you like those second and third-time founders. especially ones that are coming back to do another startup or have another idea. And sometimes they just pivot, right?
Yeah.
Let me get rid of this. They tend to get very emotional about their idea, right? And they take it personal.
Yeah.
And like, why don't you want to invest in me? Almost like they take and I take it personal when you pitch an idea, and what would you say to entrepreneurs and founders and innovators that, how can you help them understand sometimes there's going to be a no and it's not personal, but you need to learn from that. Is there a message in there that you can share with them that would help them maybe a little bit?
I mean, other than having thick skin, like it's not going to be sometimes there's going to be no. There's a lot of times there's going to be no, and get used to that, and then it helps test your convictions.
Yeah.
So a quote that I've heard a lot lately is just have strong convictions but hold them loosely. When we look to invest in a company, we're going to be a partner for a long time, and I want to pick apart every single possible thing that could go wrong. And usually I'm asking harder questions to the ones that I think could be successful. If I don't think it's successful, I might just say, have a couple quick questions and then just move on. But if I'm going deeper and deeper, I'm testing your mettle. Like, do you truly have what it takes to get to the next level?
Right.
Do you hold your conviction hard enough that you're not going to waver when times get tough, or at least you're going to understand when you need to take in mentorship or good advice from the outside. It's a tough balance between conviction and delusion. But pivots are going to happen at some point, and you're going to have to realize that everything that you believed wasn't exactly truth. But still use that energy and that drive to go, the next direction. So I guess I would just say have thick skin and hold tight to your convictions, but hold them loosely enough that you can take some advice.
In the tech industry, I came across some really good sales mentors. And one of the companies I was at, they had this consultant who was a longtime sales leader. And he was rough. He was really rough. He was like a coach that, was mean, but for a reason, like still... you knew he had your best interest in mind. And he used to always just destroy new salespeople the same thing, like these forecast calls were critical in our industry, right? You had to be accurate. Managers would really lose their jobs if they continuously rolled up forecasts for publicly traded companies. Obviously, you lose. You're going to lose your job.
Yeah.
They're going to get someone else. And he used to always say, hope is not a strategy.
Right.
I remember that to this day. And I think a lot of people get so hopeful, and when they do these numbers on their spreadsheets, on their slides, and they love this idea so much because they live it, they breathe it, they wake up to it, they fall asleep to it. And it's hard because you don't want to... Have you gotten to a point now where it's like, look, I'm just going to be straight with you. I don't have too much time to spend on something that I just don't think is the right direction.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me you hope or that you feel.
Yeah.
You need to see some real work here in the right area.
Yeah, in those first kind of 2 years post-investment, you had a lot of the forecasts are based on what you think and you feel. And then you have to come to reality. You can't just keep forecasting again on what do I think is going to happen. Okay, this went wrong, but I think it's going to happen this time. That's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We're hard early on founders, on their numbers, on their convictions, on what's happening in the industry, and just creating that early feedback loop and the ability to read the tea leaves and know when to pivot. Our last, maybe second to last investment, Tom and I are on the board of that one, and we were really hard with founders consistently every quarter in the board meetings. And now we're starting to see the fruits of that labor where they'd come in with just roses and candy canes and thinking everything's great. And then we'd we tell them, yeah, it's not good enough.
After a while, it's like, listen,
sorry, it's not. I know you think that that's a win, but it's not. We need to do better.
Yeah.
And then that creates, the grit that you want to see, and they go back and they figure it out, and then they come back and think that they're quite there. Like, no, we need to look bigger. Like, we're not just trying to beat local companies. You're gonna have to start competing with, ones across the nation. So I think that's extremely important, and it creates these characteristics of successful founders, is just developing those good habits early.
Yeah. And I liked something you and I talk about all the time is getting founders together more because they can learn from each other, right? It's one thing to get advice from you or me or other advisors that we introduce them to, or mentors. But I think it creates more of a community where the founders can start to learn from one another and start to share in some of that misery or some of the successes, right? I'm really anxious to do some of that. I think summertime we all kind of take a couple months off, but talk about community, how this community can support this innovation ecosystem and economy. You and I talk about this all the time. How are you feeling about it? Like what you've seen over the last 5 to 10 years? Obviously, Tom Simpson's had a big role in what he's done, but you've kind of come on the scene, where you're now really involved and with Fuel co-working. Talk a little bit about what you see Cowles Ventures kind of role in all this, and how you're feeling about the ecosystem so far. Yeah,
and I think, building Fuel, so Fuel co-working is right above us here, and I felt that there was at least one thing missing. I think we have almost everything we need in the Inland Northwest if we bring it all together consistently, and in a big physical space for entrepreneurs to come on a daily basis. It was something that I thought we needed, and I think I'm starting to see a little bit of the fruit of the labor daily and weekly here at Fuel. But we just need to come together more often. I love what you're talking about, is bringing the founders together. I think that's a critical part of successful entrepreneurship ecosystem, is the founders will feel like they're not on an island quite a bit, right? As they're the only ones doing exactly their thing and at exactly this time, or they'll think that. But there's so many synergies to the founder down the road that's doing something in a different domain, but they have a lot of the same issues with maybe first employees that they're hired, or issues in the market that pivoted underneath themselves. And having founders only events, we will start doing that here at Fuel coming soon. And then what you need also is bringing that mentorship network together, and Launchpad's doing a great job of building that advisor mentorship network. So that's going to be a critical part, is knowing what you don't know. Is they don't realize that there's some huge obstacle coming in the future, that if you talked for an hour with like a Greg Green or someone that's in this area that's done it, but you just haven't met with them yet, they can prevent a lot of future headaches, or extend your runway because you didn't waste $50,000, $100,000 on something that you didn't know was the wrong direction. So bringing the physical space, mentorship, and then eventually bringing in new angels to the network, and then even outside this area, there's people that want to invest in the Inland Northwest, but I think we need to have a clear, cohesive message and narrative of what are we good at, and then kind of pick our more successful ones and do a better job of advertising that, because
telling our story.
I don't think that we're missing much, other than advertising, telling what we're good at. And this is what will be very helpful, is just getting our message out more and often. And that's what a lot of the other areas do better than us, is just telling their story and who we are.
And collaborate. I think a lot of these ecosystem partners collaborate really well in Boulder and Austin and, Asheville, North Carolina. Less population, but they kind of figured it out, right?
Definitely. And just you and I working together, like you'll have your pieces of the ecosystem that you help stand up. We'll provide maybe physical space, and then eventually financing, and just some form of mentorship. And then Tom Simpson's doing great. He's been a consistent piece and leader of the ecosystem for decades. So consistency is huge. If we can, some of the previous issues we've had is little parts of the ecosystem fracturing or being there and then disappearing or moving somewhere else, where the founders can't rely on it on a daily basis. So that's again what I'm trying to do here is, hey, we're going to be here for a while, for a long time. This is our building. This is the, we have the backing of Cowles Company and Cowles Ventures, and then Fuel Co-working is underneath that. We're going to be here. So in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, this is going to be a space that they can count on to come.
Yeah, and I appreciate your attitude too. It's always refreshing when not only are you involved on the venture side, on the financing side, you also realize building that ecosystem is critical in order to see those companies that are fundable. But also, I feel like you're also really interested in the people, and who they are, and how successful they are, and what do they need, and how they fit in, and making sure they're comfortable and they have a place that they want to work out of. And you don't get upset when you find out we're working with other co-working spaces. You're like, it's all part of the ecosystem. And
rising tide mentality. I think that's what we have to do. We can't compete with each other. Let's pick a bigger fish to compete with Seattle or somewhere else. But
that's exactly right.
This great segue is talent. Like, I think building relationships, and especially in this AI new world that we're in, what's going to be your moat or differentiator is our network.
Right.
And then we're going to want to invest in people, because their idea might be outdated in 6 months or in a year. But if I can trust that they're going to pivot to something that is sustainable, I want to build those relationships now and build them often and help them mature, so that when we find that right company, I'm trusting the person and the idea, but more we're building that kind of talent and network foundation before we invest. Yeah,
the people are critical. I saw a post the other day by someone in the tech industry. I went to a cybersecurity meetup, and he posted that your people network is the most important network you'll ever be involved in.
Yeah,
and it was so true. And I have a story for you. I don't think I've told you this, but Tom Simpson referred a former WSU professor, a tenured professor who resigned, to create a clean tech company focused on ammonia. And he emailed Tom, and Tom forwarded it to me. And I said, well, let's meet up at Fuel. And so we met last week.
Oh, great. Awesome.
And like 10 in the morning, we were talking. And he started talking about his idea. And what we typically do is we get a domain expert or a serial entrepreneur that's been there, done that, or an executive, to meet with them so that we can understand what their idea, if how realistic, or is there a market for this, or what do you think, is this something that could be scalable and be fundable in the future? And while I was here, I went and checked to see if your CEO of Qualterra was here.
Perfect. Yeah.
Mike
Werner.
Mike Werner. He's the nicest guy.
Yeah,
and I interrupted him, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I got a guy here who has this really interesting idea. There's areas where it touches on kind of adjacent to what you guys are doing, but I'd love it if you could spend maybe 10 minutes with him. He's like, sure, bring him in. So I told the entrepreneur, and he had driven up from Pullman, thinking about moving to Spokane.
Yes, perfect.
Brand new, but has this amazing idea and really sharp and understands SBIR. And anyway, we go in there, and he spends 45 minutes with them.
Oh, it's amazing.
And the guy left like, wow, that was so cool. And Mike was just like, yeah, anytime if I'm around, and
those organic discussions, those conversations, those are what we're looking for. And we believe that could happen. And when you tell me that story, that's a perfect you
would not believe how many introductions he's going to make for him to help him, with SBIR stuff and other funding and other things. It was really cool to see that work, being in a physical space.
That's huge.
When you see those things happen, and it's critical that they get, like you said, help accelerate their path to not go down all those roads that we will just go down if we don't have any mentorship or advice.
Well, and then just back to your little narrative right there is start with Tom, goes to Bill, goes to our co-working space. Mike happens to be there.
Yeah.
And then that's just one example of 10 or 100 in the next year, then eventually if it's one that's successful, then Cowles can fund it, right? You have the entire ecosystem working.
Exactly.
And you bring in service providers.
So he'll be going through the Springboard program. I've probably had 4 people, either that Tom or other people have referred to us, and so we have them go through the Springboard program. It's a 90-day program, out of the Lean Canvas program, they will understand their market. They will understand what their product is, what problem it solves, who their customer, who their competition is. You have all those basics that, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
You have to get to a point, and don't take it personal, but if you come looking for $500,000 or $1 million and you don't even know who your competition is, you don't know the size of your market, you don't know what the problem is that you're solving, you have no customers, you haven't talked to a customer, you just have this idea. And Shark Tank, gets people all excited. You have to know some of the fundamentals. And even, I love what you said the other day. It's like, I don't even want to see a pitch deck.
Yeah. I envision this world.
I want to know you so
where
well.
I never see a pitch deck, and I only invest in people and their idea based on growing the relationship, seeing their product, and then talking to customers if there's even to see how well it, solves a problem for them. But that would be my perfect world.
Yeah, I love that. We only have a little bit of time left, but
okay.
Is there anything you want to share with people? So the majority of people that we like reaching out to are innovators, people who participate in the innovation ecosystem in our region, but also getting the word out to other innovators around the country and the globe that the Inland Northwest is really supportive of innovators here.
Yeah.
And our ecosystem is maturing. We have some successes we can start to talk about. What kind of message would you like to give to those people who are kind of watching that are innovators here, but also people on the outside the region?
Yeah, I would love them to come take a look, because the more that I hear stories about people that have just moved here, they don't realize all the amazing resources that we do have, and the amazing people. Like every time I see a new person that's come from Seattle, the Bay Area, and they do the little tour of, Indaba with Tom, go to one of his events or go to one of your events and come to Fuel and maybe go see a velocity game. They don't realize what we have that's so special here. Kind of like this flyover community to some extent. So it's undercapitalized and that's good, but we're going to start telling our story and it's going to grow. So I'd love them to, if they're looking for another place to move to or to allocate capital to, or to just network with, this has got to be one of the best regions.
Don't forget about the Inland Northwest.
Don't forget about the Inland Northwest. Yeah, you're gonna. What they say that the stages of like a startup or investing is like too early, too early, too early, too late. And we might be in that like third too early, right? Until you're too late. It's growing like crazy, and we're really excited. Even if you get over into the border, like from Coeur d'Alene to Spokane and down to Pullman and up to Sandpoint, like the whole Inland Northwest is growing. Yeah. So I'd say just come take a look. We'll host you, and we'll have more events coming in the fall. So just keep watching, and we're doing what we're saying. Like that's what I feel like we're moving from. Myself, I'd say I moved from like a dreamer to a doer, and I think we're doing a lot together. More, expanding beyond what Tom had helped foster for years, and now we have Launchpad's doing amazing things on connecting the whole ecosystem.
Well, I got to say, from a personal standpoint, it's been fun to watch you evolve and become a leader in the community. And maybe you're not, in your mind, you're not purposely saying, I want to be a leader of this, this new direction, new journey and stuff. You're just doing it. So I appreciate and respect what you're doing. And I look forward to partnering with you, collaborating with you. But also what I love about you is you're just open, and you don't get upset when you see other people's successes. You celebrate it. Yeah. And I think that's the mentality that I love so much about people that I see in the region, that's not a zero-sum game kind of mentality. And I love that. And that's what I recall from Silicon Valley, Seattle, some of these progressive, not from a political standpoint, but progressive in the culture of wanting to help other people. Yeah. And wanting that the whole community can surround these innovators and these students, getting them to stay here and capital to flow into really good ideas. And then the nurturing, right? The mentoring, the advising, all of it works together. It really is an ecosystem, but you are a great part of the ecosystem. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But same right back at you. It's been, that's what I feel changing right now is, I don't know, can't speak to all the parts of the previous ecosystem, but right now you can feel it's palpable, the collaboration and the culture of collaboration of, it's not me or them, it's us together. Right. We can grow.
Right.
And what you've been doing with Launchpad has just been amazing and showing the results now where, yeah, it doesn't have to be fuel versus Burberry or Mode or whatever. It's like, it's all of us. It's we're going together, and the more that we lift each other up, this whole region is going to lift up, and then we're going to get more capital infused into this region, which is going to help, spur tons more ideas to come.
Yeah, more successes. We'll keep talking about the successes, and yeah, it's great. So thank you. Appreciate you being on here.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we'll keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, and then we'll have you on ours. And,
Love it.
Vice
Anytime.
versa. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.